Her work is amazing, and in terms of her background, she started as a graphic designer, and now she works on animation. 68 Voces, 68 Corazones is a work, I would say a work of love, because it's a project that she and her team do with donations and grants. This is not a paid job. As far as I understand, she does all the type of work for living. And I've seen how her work has evolved from when she started, but I'm gonna let her share that story with you. Gabriela, I'm so happy that you're here. I told you that several times already. And welcome to Wednesday at the Center. Thank you, Erin, for opening this space for us. And here is Gabriela.
Thank you very much. I have this. Thank you. Thank you so much, Liliana, and everyone here at class for the invitation, everyone of you to be here to hear about this project. I think that maybe for someone could be a very tough day, but I think it's also, as some Buddhist teachers said, always in time of crisis is time of opportunities. It's time to be tough and to think about what we love to do and how we can make it better for the others. And that's how this project also became, or origin. This project, 68 Voices, is an animated series narrated in it's an indigenous animated series narrated in their original languages. It looks to show the 68 indigenous languages that we have in Mexico. For now, we have 41 of these stories. It's a non-profit project. It's an open project. And we look to be a tool that can be used in the communities and schools and everywhere, so it could be a spark to promote other activities, to sensibilize about the diversity that we have and the richness or the wealth that the same diversity constitute in Mexico. I am going to show you the first story that I made for the project. Thank you. This is the first story that started the series because it's a poem of Miguel León Portilla that it's called Cuando muere una lengua. It had become a flag of the project also for teachers and for communities that they want to show it like an example to revitalize their languages.
Chitlenonga y panica de pactli, que hanobawi ar, cuando pa atentini, no chitlamate te cuanime, cuando chitlamate shuiti, ni una stimo el juiz, ni una suele tiquitos, ni una suele ticachilis, o ticaquis, pampo político patitol. Guacamotzaqua y pancampa hueli chinangotini, y pancampa hueli tlatepactli que jaquema motzaqua se por puerta o se ventana, quema un casequino tlatol camanali, misla chiatis. Papa de machilis tamante en Santo Teco en Chihuahua, Juan de Chihuahua, más de Guaitagam. Y a mí, que tengo que pillar yo listo y panita de parte. Que va poliwi se la torca manali, no chipoliwi. Hasta no toca manali, te cuya, para ti te el juicio te tecnelia. O que mati te bobulia para tach que te chocua o te chuesoa. Poliwi no pa antigua cuica, te uicayaya, tu hueca pantatawa. No chitamante te guayaya, que jata mamacuya. Quema mucho chihuayaya, queja moscaltique, ayucaca huele sampa de púas, quema polihuiste la torca manali, eli queja miki, mamier mi queja, mamier mi quise, eli queja quema tlapani se tescal, initos, eli queja acahuilo, ten sampa no teji, pampa ayucaca molini. Aunque mapano yani, más de Guayna Mukawa, más de Neltihke.
This story is in Nahuatl. Nahuatl is one of the languages that have most speakers in Mexico. Sorry that the subtitles are in Spanish for those that can't read it. But something incredible about this poem is how Miguel de Portilla portrayed that when we lost a tongue, a language, door, a window to a new universe, to a new world closed, and how the humanity impoverished because of that. I found this poem 11 years ago, was a spark for me, and was really poetic how he mentioned all of this. So in that moment, I'll talk with him, I write to him, so he can lend us the poet to become part of the project. I started this project 10 years ago, and maybe in a naive way of changing the world. No? I studied graphic design, but in that time, I always have been looking for how can I use what I love to do, that is art, animation, telling stories, to giving back something to the community, giving something through what I love to do. And this was the second story that started the project 10 years ago. This is related to my family, my parents, my grandparent and grandmother from my mother's side. They are from Yucatan. It's in the south of Mexico. My grandpa was from Mashcanu. He have ascendants, Mayan ascendants, but he was of this generation that they don't speak a lot of the language. He knows some words, some things. He passed away 12 years ago, so it was really important for me to look at what we have lost with his death. Not only the living or the love of him, but also all the wisdom he have to us. No? Also, my social service, when I was in college, I make it in Yucatan. And I think it was really touching or impact me when I was there, that I was 20 years, and I think, or I thought, that when I was there, all the Mayan people I was waiting that they have speaking Mayan, but it was not the reality. Very few people talk in Mayan, and talking with some of them, and some of the mothers told us that they didn't want to speak in Mayan or teach the Mayan to their kids, so they don't suffer the discrimination that they have suffered. So I think everyone knows about all this discrimination that not only in Mexico, it's everywhere. But to know someone that it's telling you how tough have been for her and for their community, and know some of the elders that have been punished to talk in their own language, from their native language, was very tough. And I'm going to show you the story. Sorry.
Teche, yanapata alwaye, onkin pakik, takustal, anoktu lile opato. Estun kanabe ukuchul, pitulaka yokolta. Hal, tone, chekun pelu no kulilong yung sikutial asisu. Lehela, peitungune kilong kustane, tumelendeko, una ukulun uyich, ichluum, una uyoko til king. Vale, waku hoko tanile, kutipil uku yoko luum, unuhostan, eshun kulche, yanu yantal umuk, kayana kuyich. Mantat yanu yantal uyich, tumentukana hoko tani, mailit sihiki. Leolale, tukut masho kubinobe, machen kashikobi, Tukul alak silon utial ten kuchukukin dinshane, alix maba utial helo.
Lekah cilang wene inyun, beak amhelo, matungkah aki. Cembale, tene ingo helili, kima kuyole, tumentso ubin, ujuk pach inkich pangnay.
This is a fragment of a story called La Última Danza, de Isaac Esaú Carrillo Can. He's an incredible Mayan writer. And what's important for me also, when I started this project, I started it as a personal project. So in that moment, was very important for me to establish or make a statement that these are contemporary communities, that they are also young people, or were also young people making literature, music, art. So I started to contact contemporary writers to be part of the project, in this case, Isaac. And also, because of my background of graphic design, was also very important for me to make a statement also and a reinterpretation of the art of these communities, with all the respect to don't have an appropriation of their culture, so to make a contemporary reinterpretation with Mexican illustrators. So that's why each of the stories is different, but also each of the stories, each of the arts are inspired in their art, their handcrafts, their textiles, the context, the colors of where they live. And that's all that we wanted to communicate in each one of these stories. This one is also a fragment of this Mayan story, and for example, this story was very important for me because of my family. So all the characters in this case are based in my grandparents and my mother, and all the embroidery are photos of my grandma Ipiles, that are these Yucatan dresses, or the cloth text servilletas in Mexico. No, but de tela, las de embroidery napkins, no, that are very common in Mexico. The project is called 68 Voces, 68 Corazones, because as I mentioned, we have 68 linguistic groups, but we really have 364 languages grouped in these 68. So it's very super rich context in Mexico. And when I started this, I learned about the Totonac, or los Totonacos, that are a language in the center of Mexico, mostly in Puebla. Totonaco means 3 hearts. And they mentioned 3 hearts because they were 3 villages, 3 that joined to be a better place or a better union for all of them. So I love how they compare, or how they make this link between a village or a community and a heart, and how all this represents. So what I wanted to show with the project is not only these 68 voces or linguistic groups, but also the hearts of everyone, no? The heart that all these communities represents for Mexico. And the project is based under the premise that no one can love what they don't know. Most of us didn't know how many languages that we have, and not only the language, but all what each culture represents for us, all the richness that it represents for the community, the wisdom of each community, the relation to the nature, to the death, to everything that we are, and all that can give us. So the project was started to show all this richness, and with that, try to make respectful most of the people that didn't know all that the people that are not speakers of this indigenous language to know all of these communities and try to make a more respectful place for all those that are speakers. So the series is want to show this incredible wealth that we have in Mexico through our diversity, and also, and again, maybe in a naive way, but try to reduce the discrimination that we have, no? And promote also the pride among all these indigenous speakers, because something important that I have learned in all these 10 years is that it has to be within the communities, this work, you know? We have to empower them and to be proud of who they are, their culture, their language. As I mentioned before, the art has been very important in this project. This is a non-profit project, but we are a creative studio, an animation studio. But everything that we do in the studio looks at this, no? To how the art and the animation can make a social change. How everything that we do, and since the place that we are and the work that we make, everything can serve the others and everything can help to make a better world. And something very important also is that if we want this to be known for others, we have to show them, no? We have to make visible all this, and also in contemporary media, no? It was very important to start this project also with the communities and to show kids and young people that their language is still in use, that their language can be used in internet, in WhatsApp, in all the media that it's happening now. So in Concord, we look to make an initiative for everyone, no? For all that are indigenous communities, to visualize and empower them, but also, as I said, to help to be proud of themselves, of their culture, of their language, the respect and use of their own language. And very important to strengthen the link between elders and kids and the traditional, the oral tradition, because all the wisdom in the communities, or not all the wisdom, but most of the wisdom of the communities about the plants and the nature and everything, all the stories are in the elders. So it's very important to give them this place of importance and hear them all that they want to tell us. And also it's very important for all the general public to raise awareness about this diversity, as I mentioned, no? And reduce discrimination also. I started the project, I mentioned it was a personal project. I started with a grant of the Fondo Nacional de Culturas Artes, and was very personal, like investigation and doing the illustration and animation with some friends. But then some institutions became aware of the project and started to be part of it. And a really great sponsor of the project had been the INALI, that is Instituto Nacional de Lenguas Indígenas in Mexico. And thank you to them, we have been able to go to the communities. And that was the best thing that it could happen for me and for the project, because it changed everything, no? It changed the idea of how to make a project that can be made within the community, and not only for the community, no? Not only to break the idea of colonialism, to come back to a community and give something, but make something within them. Then we started to make workshops with the elders so they can tell us which stories they wanted to tell, which was the most important thing, to hear them, all their preocupaciones, the worries they have, and also a workshop with the kids to know more about their context. I am a person that, for me, art is everywhere, So all the drawings of the kids are, for me, are amazing, and they are also inspiration. That have been also an inspiration for all the stories that we made. No? It has been very important also to learn about all these elders. Of these 68 linguistic groups, most of them are in great danger of disappearing. A lot of communities in Mexico have maybe 20 speakers, but they are elders, they are not in a good health. So they are languages that they are probably disappear. So it's very important for all the community, for the parents, for the kids, to learn anything they can about they. Maybe it's very late to learn the language, but they can learn all the wisdom that they have, no? All the saberes that they can show them. These are some of the kids' drawings that I said. I love how they draw these perspectives and strange sizes. But this is really inspires us, no? This is how we reinterpret the drawings of the kids, but also taking the colors of what they draw, because it's really incredible how, for example, if we make a workshop in Chiapas, the colors they use are blue and green and yellow, because it's a place really full of flora and fauna. But for example, if we make a workshop in Baja California that is more desert, the colors they use are black, brown, blue, so that really is very important for us, how they reinterpret their own world. And it has been very important to make these workshops. But as I mentioned, this project is a non-profit project. We are looking continue for funds to continue the project. So not all the time we have been able to go to the communities. But at least we try to talk with someone, with the speaker of the language, but also to investigate and to make this story with her or with him. In this case, this is one of the last stories that we have made. This is the Triqui story. The Triqui language is a language that is talked in Oaxaca, that is at the south of Mexico. And it was very sound that in that area have been happening some matrimonios arreglados, like arranged marriage. But it's like, it's selling of the kids, no? But they are hiding it in these usos y costumbres. So like, no? Traditions, yeah. Each community in Mexico have these traditions of some, and all the communities have the right to govern themselves because of their traditions. But there are some communities like this, that they are hiding this selling of kids in these traditions of arranged marriage. So there are a lot of people trying to make things with this. I recently know an incredible basketball coach that is making these schools for boys, for also girls, to take apart from this tradition, for trying to awareness from all this. So it was a very important topic or issue for us to try to portray in this. But also something that is very beautiful about this community is the tradition of their ipiles. This is a little drawing of this, but the ipiles in the Triqui community are the metaphor of the growing of a butterfly, and all all the lines and all the colors portray how the butterfly came to life, how it died, but also it's everything in the ipu is the life of the butterfly, since it is not an oruga, yeah, caterpillar. Thank you. And the face of the women are the sun, the ribbons are the arcoiris, sorry, the rainbow, and everything around seems really poetic and beautiful. So when we knew what also was happening in this community, we tried to make this story and to reflect this, what we are thinking about this.
Nga samareni tikani hasikwalipne gokolodani tikitreni ne kuyachita kiane nga sondani ni aziwaline utarawane niawane ni unyamine ani wane achine na wane na dunane ni na wine ngosawani yaani na gojuku jawi majuria yo mine go awinga go wini awine ni achingo ni ya adani na rawine ni na wiki darane ya godani sa gatimini kuna arcoiris ni ustania wani ni ustania na mirwane ya mahya o asinone ni utawa wentu nanya ka nehane nane ni ustania mirwane ni asihangane ni uchine nadane ka wegi asone ni cuida ni promisi ka gayune miro wata ahne sonda ni utachi wani uchuma kone sonda sani ta wina na wikotega cheni si tene ga wini ka chene da kana ruwane ni ka we uchine nadane kana ruwane ni sinada shakanga na ruwane wane ni mane ka kone kuisha nadani utani amirwane ni amine konu kwa nani.
So something very important that has been for us is to use these stories to try to help to change their narrative. The narrative of maybe a little girl that have not only have been seeing this really bad future with these arranged marriages, to help them, to empower them that they can have the future that they wanted. They can fly like these butterflies that are in all these dresses and make it happen. Everything that we want to do with this project, with 68 Voces, it's not only an static acervo, like acervo. Oh.
It's like an archive?
Like a library.
An archive. It's not an archive.
Yeah, we wanted to be something, a spark, a living spark that make more things. We are very clear that this is a tool, but for this could be better, it has to be used within the community. And we have saw how when they are activists of their own language, working within the community can have really good changes and good outcomes. For now, as I mentioned, we have worked with 41 languages of these 68, but we have also tried to make more tools that can help. We recently made this animated mini dictionary in Nahuatl, and another one in Chinanteco, for example. All these have been also a non-profit and talking with the speakers, that what else can we make, what else we can make to help you, what are you doing inside your community We make also these little puppets so they can be used also in telling these stories for the kids or telling new stories. And something important we learned some years ago is that all these languages, like all the good languages in the world, started oral. But as all in the world, we are trying to make it written, but not all the languages have the same characters. So it's very painful for some of these speakers to try to write in the computer because not all the fonts have all these special characters. So we partnered 2 years ago with a Mexican typographist, that is Manuel Lopez, and he helped us to make this font. This is an open font. You can download it in the website of the project. He took an open font and made all the special characters for this to make a new one. And it has all the special characters for the 68 languages in Mexico. And in this journey of these 10 years that I have been working with the project, some of my conclusions have been that the language, it's only the top of the iceberg. No, maybe in the world we speak 40,000 original languages, and maybe a lot of them they are going to be lost. But we have to rescue, if we are not able to rescue the language, we have to rescue all the wisdom that they are, that they represent. It has been really important and really, really touching to know all these communities, all these stories, and to relearn with them that we have been with a perspective very occidentalizada, a very Western view, and we have to relearn with them all the connection that we can have with the nature, the importance that now it represents, now that it's very important for us and for the world, and also the really connection that they have with the dead, that is not a dramatic connection, it's very natural, it's part of the life. So it's really, really incredible to learn more of each of them, and not only in like a study, like a maybe something that, like a tourist way that looking for them. So working with them, within the communities to learn more about. And it is proof also that when a kid learn in their own language, in their native language, it's better for them to learn later other languages. So there are also movements in Mexico so the kids can learn in their own language. At first, it's a tough project, but it's a right that they have, a right that they have to learn, to dream, to play in their own language, and a right that their parents and their grandparents didn't live. But also all these have to be in union of government, but also family, but also institutions. No one, not government, not institution can tell them to talk their language. It has to be from inside. It has to be from them. First of all, the most important thing is to be proud of who they are and what it represents, so they can make it a flag for them to be really tough in all this world. This photo was in Ayapa, in Tabasco. Their language is the Ayapaneco. It makes really mediatic some years ago because in some newspapers write that they were only 2 speakers and they were fighting between them, so they didn't speak. But it wasn't true. But the truth is that there are a few speakers. In that moment, that was like 6 years ago, in that moment there were 4 elders that were really into their culture, into their language, but now 3 of them are dead. So this is happening in a lot of communities, and it is really important to make things in the place that we are with anything that we can to make the things different. Thank you so much for the invitation.
So this is our Q&A portion. I am monitoring online, so if you have a question online, please drop it in the Zoom chat. Otherwise, I want to open it up to the room first. All right.
Thanks, Gabrielle. That was very inspiring. The one word that comes to mind is empowerment. Would you agree with that? And are there any young people or anybody who's come back with a story of any type of achievement or empowerment for what you were doing with your community?
I didn't get well the question, sorry. Uh-huh. Yeah, sure. As I said, it's really important the spot that the activists of their own language have in their communities. And a really cool story that I love is the one that happened with the Matlatzinca language. They are from San Francisco, Oxtotilpan, in el Estado de Mexico, at the center of the country. And they used to make a tradition in the day of San Pedro and San Juan in June, when they used to go to the forest and talk and sing to the trees to ask for a good cosecha, for a good harvest. But they stopped doing that tradition when the light came to the community, like 40 years ago. Electricity, came to the community. And when I talked with Daniel, that is the one that is the activist in their language there, and his mother, they told me this story, and they wanted to portray this story in this one animation. So we make an animation about this, and to how now this forest or all these trees are sad because they didn't hear now the songs that are for them. So when we finished the animation, Daniel took the animation, showed it to the kids that he was working with, and he take the kids to the forest to make the song, to make all the tradition again. And the elders of the community go to the forest also and say, no, you're making it wrong. No, it have to be like this. No, but from that day, that it was like before pandemic, like 5 years ago, they just started to make again the tradition. So it can happen incredible things, but it have to be from inside. Mm-hmm.
If you can project loud, if you want to.
Sí, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Javier Basurto, soy profesor acá. Y quería si podías elaborar cuál es la reacción de los muchachos, de la gente cuando les enseñas los videos de la comunidad. So I'm just asking her what has been the reaction of the people when she shows this documentaries to the community that she's representing.
It has been really cool to see how they see the stories and how they, for a kid, most of the communities have electricity, not all of them, but most of them. So the kids are really familiar with cartoons and with movies and with everything that happened also in the cell phones. But it's really cool to see how they love to see something that is narrated in their own language happening. And that's for the kids, but also, for example, a long time ago also happened to us when we make the Huiraica story. Huiraicas are from Jalisco, and also in Mexico. And when we present the story in a community, someone reached someone of the team and told us he was really happy because it was a story that he heard a lot of his grandpa, but now looking at it with drawings in this animated media was really fantastic for him.
I'm just going to go back and forth in the room.
Wonderful. I've got
Thank
so many
you.
questions, but one would be around the translation. How many of these stories that you've done so far started in the indigenous language and were translated into Spanish, and how many vice versa, from Spanish back to indigenous? And could you talk about the nuance and the difficulty of doing those translations?
Yeah, sure. All of the stories are stories of tradition of their communities. And also the first 7 stories that I made when it was a personal project was stories that are 12 that were written in their own language first. So when we work with that, we make first, I didn't speak the languages, so first is this tradition to the Spanish, no? Or they are very useful to use to tell the story in Spanish. Then I make the script to put it in a minute paragraph. Then they make their translation to their language, and they make with a transcription to Spanish, because there is not to make these translations, it cannot be literal. For something, some things have to change. So we make the transcript at the final, and there's where the final script get it.
Hola, David.
Gracias.
Okay, I can use it. I prefer not to use it. I mean, following the inspiration of Javier, I will speak to you in Spanish first, and then I can translate. La verdad es que es como muy emotivo, ¿no? Very touching. So, cuando los escuchas, pues se puede sentir como las emociones o los sentimientos de las personas que impregnaron sus voces en eso. Entonces, gracias por compartirlo. Lo que sí me gustaría que como atreverte a preguntar es como, bueno, ya estás aquí, gracias a Duke, estás en el centro. Es como, ¿qué te atreverías a pedir? ¿Qué te atreverías a pedirle a la gente que está aquí o a la gente de Duke o, US is too big? Pero sí, ¿qué pedirías? ¿No? ¿Qué te podría servir de lo que está aquí? ¿O qué necesitas? ¿No? So my question is like basically, first of all, thank you for the center to bring her here, but what can she ask from the Duke community? What can she ask from the people who's here, who's interested in the topic? What can she ask from the community for her project, or what does she need?
Thank you, like a Santa letter. No,
Sí.
I can ask for a lot of things. No? Exactly. No. Exactly. We can ask for a lot of things. As I mentioned, we have 41 stories. Only we have 27 that we wanted to work with. We need funds to make it happen. And some of the languages that we haven't worked with are also some of the languages that have more risk of disappearing, like the Kickapoo that are in the north of Mexico. So for funds, it could be incredible, but also what all the persons that are involved in the project, what we mention always is that to show the project, to use it, to sensibilize about the topic to other persons, always is helpful, because what we wanted to make is that, to make a project that can reach a lot of people that, and can show that this issue is really important for now, and there's a lot of people that needs that help. This is not about us, this is not about me, this is about how we can help the others with this.
May I complement something for your question? Gabriela is here because we have identified there are several indigenous communities within North Carolina and here in Durham. And we have identified one community, the Mexican diasporic indigenous community. They speak Chatino, and Chatino is a language that Gabriela's team hasn't been able to produce a short. And we are in the beginning of a process that hopefully will bring Gabriela and members of her team back to probably, hopefully, with the help of everybody, to produce one of the stories of a diasporic community, a community that has been displaced from the space but lived here within our own community. And just to add to what we can do together.
And complementing this, it has been really important also during these 10 years to see how a lot of migrants have reached us to know more about the project and to take the project to show them for their communities. There's a big group also of Mixtecos in Los Angeles, for example, and they have this community radio, and they use all the audios, for example, for this radio, to use the project also to use this as a tool to sensibilize about their language and their communities.
We have time for one more question. All right.
Hi, Alejandra Jaramillo. Thank you so much for being here. I also was inspired by your presentation. I think one of the things I was really interested in was it was like the puppets, because teachers can like read a book and tell a story with these puppets and make it really illustrated for the kids. The other thing that I liked was the illustrations in your stories are made from like the kids' drawings, which I feel like that added another really like touch. But my question was actually from the lens of a former teacher. So I taught in Houston, Texas. I was a bilingual teacher, and I remember I wanted to very much keep my students' mother language like alive, and I got to teach them in Spanish, and I had to transition them into English because in the state of Texas there is a state test, and I remember being conflicted on like the importance of keeping their mother tongue and like them to play and learn and speak to each other, but also felt a pressure from the state to be able to get them ready for that exam that was going to get them to the next grade. So I'm just curious if like in these communities teachers face this like higher system pressure, and how to combat that to still make sure that you're keeping the kids like learning and being proud of their mother tongue.
Yeah, it's really difficult in the communities. All the education in Mexico is in Spanish. In some communities, they have been able to teach in their own language, but not all the teachers know their own language. And there's some sindicatos, or unions of teachers also, that they're also a difficult topic, but maybe they have happened in Mexico that the person that was Otomi from the center is in the north of Mexico. So he cannot make anything about that, no? But there are institutions like UNICEF trying to make a difference and make publications only in the original language, because it is also known that if you have a publication that is in their native language and in Spanish, it's not so useful because they are going to use Spanish. So they're making a publication in their original language 4 kids in first and second grade that they are starting to learn to read and write.
EIBE, like Educación Intercultural Bilingüe in Latin America.
There's a lot of.
It's been changing because of what was happening, you know, like they start in the language, the indigenous languages, but then they go into Spanish, so it's a superposition of one system of something new. But now it's going to a model of community education, and it's not happening in the way we want it to happen. It's happening, but it is happening. So more teachers are being trained, and there's a need for teachers who speak these languages. It's the same thing in Peru. So it's the case that I know.
So I want to say thank you again to Gabriela for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to put another video to finish.
Yes.
It's a poem, Totonac poem of a writer that is called Manuel Espinosa Zainos. It's a great Totonac writer. And talk about also his tongue and his language.
Kintatlin, 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 nyakshniku, ketenil.